What's up, everyone? I'm Christine, and I'm here with Inspiration Ministries to talk with the great Kevin Olusola. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you so much. That's kind of you, the great Kevin Olusola. That's very, very kind.
There's
Wow.
no other way to put it, frankly.
Well, I'm humbled by that. Thank you so unbelievably much.
Absolutely. I tell you, we are really honored to have you with us today because we get to include you and your faith story as part of our celebration of Black men and women who are making history. We're so excited about what you are currently doing and the waves that you consistently are making.
Oh, thank you.
So for our viewers, if this is your first introduction to Kevin, he is the beatboxer in the 3-time Grammy Award winning a cappella group Pentatonix. And Kevin, when you look at this path, when you look at where you are right now and where you've come from and how God has created this space for you, can you even believe it?
I mean, it's still... from a boy who comes from Kentucky, the son of a Nigerian and a Grenadian mother, to be in this space, I don't think any of us could have expected the level of success and just the joy that I would have in this industry. So I'm humbled, still shocked. I'm thankful, and I just continue to hope that God will continue to use me however He sees fit.
I want to talk about your start with the group because it was a little unexpected for you.
Completely.
And how you see God present in all these different seasons of your life and on your journey. So tell us a little bit about before you were in Pentatonix and how this happened for you.
Sure. How far you want to go back? Do you want to talk about grade school? What, where do you want to start?
No, if you've got any artwork you want to share, we're happy to put it up.
For sure. No, where do you want to start?
Tell me a little bit about the moment when you realize God is saying to you, your plan, the plan you made is a little different than what I've got in store for you, and how you responded to that realization.
Sure. So growing up, once again, I'm the son of a Nigerian father and a Grenadian mother. My dad's is a psychiatrist and my mom's a nurse. And so for them to come to this country, they really wanted their children to be successful in ways that maybe they couldn't have success back in their own countries. And so the thing that I think was always pushed in our family was academia. So be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer. And so throughout my whole life, I was preparing myself for that kind of career. I went to a boarding school called Phillips Academy in Andover, Mass. And then I went to Yale for undergrad, and I was an East Asian Studies major, and I was pre-med because I thought I would do medical work in addition to probably doing ministry work / missionary work, especially in China and Africa. And so all those plans that I thought were good plans, it just wasn't God's best plan for me. What I realized as I started to build this musical arsenal of playing cello and beatboxing, I always loved it, but I never saw it as a path because there's so much uncertainty there. But then I think in my junior year of college, God started to put the pieces together for me to start to see what He actually had planned.
That's good.
I had already started to kind of experiment with playing cello and beatboxing at the same time, which I call cello boxing. And I kind of knew it was unique, but I just did it for fun because, why not? But then in my junior year, a couple of things happened as I was exploring this unique talent. The first thing was my junior fall, I had this opportunity to do a competition that Yo-Yo Ma was hosting called the Celebrate and Collaborate with Yo-Yo Ma competition. And if you won, you got to do a recording with him. And so, I put together a tape very quickly. It was right after my organic chemistry final. I had a day. And so one of my friends who knew how to use some recording equipment, she said, just come over, record. I was like, okay, sure. I'll just put something together. And in that small amount of time that I put that thing together, I found out later that I got second place in the competition, and that he said that my music was inventive and unexpected. And so I thought that's kind of crazy. I didn't really put too much work into that. So that was one thing. But then the second thing that happened was there's a guy named KRS-One who's one of the, I mean, grandfathers of hip hop, really one of the pioneers. And I opened for him at a concert that he was doing at Southern Connecticut State University with a friend who rapped. And so when he heard me play, he, after his talk, he came to me and said, I think if you take what you're doing and continue to spread this around, I think you're going to change the way people look at classical music and hip hop. And that's when I started to realize that I knew God was doing something very different. Here's two people from completely opposite sides of the musical spectrum at the highest echelons of what they do, telling me something very similar. And that's when I knew I had to start to pray, because I didn't understand what was going on here. And the moment that I realized that this is what I was supposed to do, or God was calling me to this direction, was my spring break of junior year. I was with a friend of mine who was MD, PhD, also a Nigerian. And so he was a mentor of mine, and I talked to him about just this struggle, this weight that I was carrying, that, you know, I know my parents, they really want me to go into this, and I love this career too, but I feel like there's something that God might be calling me to that I'm not exactly sure how to do it. And so I just needed that last piece to figure out how to get there. And he said, listen, at the end of the day, once you go into medicine, you're doing it. But if you want to do music, you're young, you're 20 years old, go ahead and explore it, because you can always come back to medicine. And that was the last thing that I needed to give me the peace. I don't feel like I'm the person that practiced the most. I didn't feel like the person that had the most talent to do this. But for some reason, I can't shake that you're calling me here. So if you do it, God, it must be by your hand.
Wow.
And it was like a can of worms opened, and this weight just came off my shoulders, and I knew I was supposed to pursue this. I didn't know if it was forever, but I knew at that moment I had to do this. I couldn't go back on my word. This was what I was supposed to do at the time.
What an incredible moment of surrender too. Just
Completely.
and blind faith. You're saying, okay, but I have no clue what this looks like. There's a lot of power too. I love hearing you talk about the way you talk to God. It's so raw. It's so much your conversation with God. And sometimes we do that, right? We look and we go, are you serious? How do I do this? Something that I also picked up on is this idea that you have, you've got something that you're passionate about, and then you've got a purpose as well. And sometimes they're different, and sometimes they go hand in hand. And it sounds like you've had your eye on mission work for a long time, and you are actually really living that out right now in your own way. You have started an international community on Instagram. So in playing off of this long-term personal purpose that you have for mission work, you've actually started an international Instagram Bible study called Imagine Faith Community. So how did you start that? What inspires you, and what pushed you to get that rolling?
Sure. That's a very good question. You know, funny enough, growing up, as much as I loved my relationship with God, I think I had an interesting relationship with church, the building, and being in the pews, because sometimes I felt like, a lot of times I felt like I knew God knew what he was doing with me, but maybe sometimes the community exactly didn't. And so the things that I wanted to do, maybe because it was a little bit outside of what people understood, you know, a lot of the people I knew at churches were either pastors or teachers, doctors. But what I was trying to do, I think there was a lot of, well, that's in the secular world. How could you do that? And so I remember growing, as I continued to go through my journey, especially being a musician, you know, feeling like I didn't have a place to be around other people that really understood me. I realized that, you know what, if I can't find that place, I might just have to create that place for people who are people of purpose, but maybe they're working within the gray areas of secular and spiritual, which I think it's all spiritual if you ask God to be in that space, but that they may need community too. And that we can understand and wrestle through all of these different things together. So, in 2018, a couple of friends of mine and I, we just started just a Bible study, just to hang out with people who are artists, young professionals, creatives, entrepreneurs, just to get together and see what God says about what we're trying to do. And it was so exciting and vibrant. And so we were continuing doing that in LA. We'd have 25, 30 people who are just really intentional. It's very, I would say kind of like a mastermind, if you will, of getting really intentional people together. And then COVID hit, and so we couldn't meet in person. So we decided to open it up to a wider community and let people know what we were doing. And it's been cool to see, anywhere between 30 to like 60 people coming from all over the world who wanting to come for an intentional space where this is a daily walk and you can still be chill, you can still be cool, but there's something beautiful about letting that be the absolute purpose of your life and letting that run through you. For us, we say love, purpose, impact. Love transforms us, purpose defines us, and the impact that God's called us to have activates us by faith. And once you're very sure about those things, you can, as we say, you can gain the world but not lose your soul because you understand why you're doing what you're doing.
You've even been able to take that perspective, and like you said, it's your daily walk. You can be in a secular field, and at the same time use yourself and your choices as a creative to further that faith community or your personal faith walk. And you've actually had an impact in your group Pentatonix. There are some elements of your faith that you have, kind of stood up for over the course of this career. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're applying it right now in your field?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think just the one thing that I love about our group is that we all understand and respect one another. We all want to show each other love. And I think that's the number one thing that we just want to do amongst us, because there's so many people that may not feel love wherever they are. So I think that's the first and foremost place that we always come from when we do whatever we do. I think from a personal standpoint, I think there are certain things that I feel strongly about. For example, I would love for our music to be clean, because I feel like if people like Michael Jackson, who was the biggest artist in the world, didn't have to use one curse word and he reached the whole world, why do we have to? And so I think that's something that we've always just kind of, and I don't know if people think cursing is a sin or all that, but for me, I think it's just easier to get a beautiful message of love out when you don't have certain words in there. So that was one. And then I think also for me, what I do religiously is I take Sabbath. So Sunset Friday to Sunset Saturday, the fourth commandment, I really try to practice that because I feel like God wants to have intentional relationship with us during a specific certain period of time. And that was something that was really hard to bring up because Friday nights is when you're supposed to perform and stuff. But for me, the band now loves it, that they take that time and do whatever they want to rest their bodies, rest themselves from a grueling schedule. There are times where I didn't think maybe the band would like kick me out because, an opportunity came, but we've always stood our ground. And I think it's been beautiful to see that because of our uniqueness in our entrepreneurship, people are willing to change the course of their schedules to allow us to do what we do best. Yeah. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
You are blowing my mind a little bit with your comment about Michael Jackson, because I've never thought about that. Not once.
He never used any bad words at all. He didn't say anything to offend people. Mm-mm. He was truly, and his music spoke to everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny that now we're in a world where, and I'm not trying to judge or anything. I just thought that that's such an interesting piece that you don't have to do that. But he's just that much more clever in terms of how he spoke, how he sang, the musicality, mm-hmm. the people he had around him to make great music like Quincy Jones. And his performance was absolutely top notch, and he inspired the world. Yeah. So I just think it is possible. There's a precedent there.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, you and Pentatonix, you guys have absolutely gone into Christian territory. You recently released an absolutely phenomenal version of Amazing Grace, combined with, My Chains Are Gone. And it was sort of a ripple effect. I felt like everyone I knew was sharing this video it was perfectly timed, and it was full of hope. When you create music, do you guys think about those things? How you're inspiring a little hope or a little light for people who love you guys?
Oh, wow. Well, I would say, first of all, that's really great to hear. And I can't wait to tell my bandmates about that comment. So thank you. And absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, when I think of, for example, Saul in the Bible, he had spirits that were around him, and he called David to come in, and with his music, he allowed those spirits to go away. To me, that's a lot of the core of what music is supposed to do: heal and inspire and encourage. And I think that's what we try to make sure is done every single time we put an arrangement together. What can we do for people to say, I've never seen that before? Wow, the possibilities that are artistic is endless. And I think it's beautiful because God is first and foremost a creator. In the beginning, God did what? Created. That was the first word, the first verb. So I want to use that creation, and I think all of us do, to inspire. And that's always the crux of everything we do.
And then tying that concept back to you and how you are making history in your field. You mentioned earlier this new term that it now exists in the music industry because of you, which is cello boxing.
Completely.
And you have been creating some content on different social media platforms all throughout this past year. And in a lot of ways, this goes along with comments and things you've said in the past about being ready, being prepared, staying, keeping your tool belt fresh so that when God calls, you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
How has this experience collaborating over social media affected you? What's your community like right now?
Wow, that's a good question. It's beautiful that there are technology platforms that allow us to share music very quickly and easily. I think another beautiful thing about that is that not everything has to be so preciously done, not so perfectly done. For me, a lot of these pieces that I've been putting up, it's just something that I had an idea, and I think, you know what, I might not necessarily use this for myself, but there's so many beautiful creators out there. Hey, I'm going to give you what I do uniquely, and I'm so curious to see what you bring to the table as well. And so to be able to see all this incredible musical talent out there is mind-blowing to me, because I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. I'm seeing artists that I've never met before, and I want to share that talent because I think at the same time, we're not here just because we're so good. It's somebody that took a chance to say, I want to showcase this a cappella group to other people. People need to see what this is. Kelly Clarkson did that for us, to be on tour with her, and I'm so grateful and thankful. And so, that's, I think, the reason you have the platform. The platform is to encourage an ecosystem of absolute love. So that's a lot of what I think my platform's about.
Has anybody sent you videos where they cello box but on a different instrument? Are you seeing any of that?
Interesting. I've seen people do that on, for example, like the piano, and they'll beatbox. Like I did this one TikTok where I just showed them how I think about playing cello and beatboxing at the same time. And so I did, just very simple scales, very simple beats, just to get the mind kind of primed. And it was so funny to see other people actually do that on piano. I was like, this is crazy. This is good. People can do this. So, there's just so many amazing people out there.
Wouldn't that be an interesting orchestra?
Oh my gosh, right?
Pick something really cool and just everybody go wild.
That would be nuts, actually. That'd be so funny to watch. Yeah.
Oh, I would watch that. I would. I really
Good.
would.
Oh, okay. Well, check the game. I'm going to write that down. Give me a
That's
second.
right.
Make cello boxing orchestra. Okay, got it. Done.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. So, Kevin, when you are in your personal faith walk, when you need that encouragement, when you need that pick-me-up, where do you go in your Bible? What's your go-to?
I was going to actually say first my mama, but if we're talking about the Bible.
Well, that's good
too. I think a lot of the struggles I personally go through are mental, because I think a lot of people think Kevin Olusola, you're part of this 3-time Grammy Award winning group. You have this cello boxing thing. But for me, the source of all
No
that
big
still,
deal.
but the thing is, for me, the source of why I feel like I work really hard at these things is insecurity. You know, like I said, I don't feel like, in so many ways, I don't feel like I deserve being where I am, because a lot of it seems like a fairy tale, but the fairy tale is that I get to give God the glory because it wasn't me. So I always remember that. But once again, that still gives me mental doubt and fear and insecurity, even now. So for me, the place I go to a lot is, there's 2 places. One, Joshua 1, where the God is talking to Joshua about, you know, Moses has died.
Yeah.
And now I need you to take the mantle, be strong and very courageous, and basically listen to me, because then you will prosper, then you will have good success. And don't fear, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So that's the first place I go. And the second one is 2 Chronicles 20, because Jehoshaphat, the king, had, I think it was the Amalekites and the Moabites that were going to attack his kingdom. And he didn't know what to do, so he brought everybody together. And first and foremost thing that he did before he asked God for help was to praise God for what he's already done. It's like, are you not the God that did this and that and this and that? And then he humbles himself and says, God, I don't know what to do, but my eyes are upon you. I think that is one of the most beautiful things you can say, because God never said that you had to figure it all out. God is playing chess in a way, I think, with this world in a way that we can't. He sees everything. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. So God, you know, I can put my faith and trust in you. I don't know what to do, but I will do all that I can do, but then the rest is in your hand. So give God praise and thank him for what he's already done, and then say, hey, it's your move.
That's so good. I think too, Joshua is a really poignant choice for you too, because I think about him and I think about, he's a new type of leader. They didn't have a Joshua before there was a Joshua.
Completely.
So everything he does, he's looking at God like you said you did, and he's going, you're going to have to make, we can work through me, but you're going to have to make this happen, because we don't know what this looks like.
Completely.
Wow, that is so good. So in terms of your online faith community, is there a next step for you all? Are there plans moving forward?
For sure. That's a great question. Right now, we've actually been talking to God a lot and praying over the next step. So I wish I had something that was, hey, this is where we're going now. But I think right now we're in prayer, but I think God is starting to unveil some of what he's called us to do. So, you know, once I have more information, I'll definitely let you know. But every week every day I'm praying to God about it, in addition to just talking to my leaders about it. But you can continuously follow us at Imagine Faith Community on Instagram, because that's where we have all of our updates, and we will let everybody know where we're going.
That's wonderful. Well, we're praying for a lot of success, and that God will open doors for you guys in that endeavor. It is needed and it is powerful. So we're excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.